Listen, bro, Black Ops 6 so far has been really fun for me. I mean, I'd even go as far as saying it's one of the best CODs we've gotten in the last 5 years. But here's the tricky part. You will need some good and optimized settings to perform well in this game, I'm not even gonna lie to you. And I spent the last 2 weeks optimizing and just testing different settings to see which is the best settings for this entire game. So if you feel like you can't keep up in this game because everybody is just jumping and spinning around like it's Little Dirk on a Beyblade, then guess what, bro? I got you with the settings. So for aim settings, I got you. Movement settings, I got you. For the Gooch Massager Innate 3000, I got you.
She say she faded, faded, everything is faded.
Yo, it was good, bro. Alright, so bet. It's like this, bro. It's very simple. The settings we're gonna be going through today will completely transform your gameplay. Like, literally, I'm not even gonna lie to you. So let's just go into the first category right now. So we're gonna be going through every single tab of controller settings, starting with controller, then going to aiming, then movement, and then combat. Capiche? Alright, let's go ahead. Boom. The first thing you want to be on, obviously controller. I will make another detailed guide on mouse and keyboard another time, but today is controller. So for the button layout, I play default flip because for the longest I've been playing on PS3. Back in the day I used to play Black Ops 2 and I used to aim with L1, shoot with R1. So I flip it and that's default flip. You want to have your own custom binds and settings. The good thing about this game is that you can actually click on this and you can change the bind. So if you want to jump with, like, say B or O, you can change it to that. But just for this video, I'm gonna keep it on what I have it as, which is A or X. So if you want to go through all these settings and change a couple binds, it's up to you. You can do that as well. Now on to the next one, stick layout preset. I have mine on default. Back in the day I used to play Southpaw just because I was trick shotting and stuff, so and it made it a little bit easier. But nowadays I play default. My sensitivity, now do not copy my sensitivity because I play differently from you, you play differently from me. I will do a video more in depth on sensitivity and how it affects your aim assist, how it affects your aim in general, but in this video I'm just going to simplify it. I play 14 sensitivity because the movement's a little bit more fast. Everybody's moving faster, so in order to keep up, I turn my sensitivity up because I used to play 8 in Modern Warfare 3 and in Warzone. So it is a significant increase, a significant jump, but I thought it was important for me to do that. Simplified controls preset. This is basically a lot of movement things or movement related activities. It does it for you, so you can turn this on. So if you're new to the game and you're not really familiar with a lot of the controls, you can try this and see how you like it, and then when you're more comfortable you can get off of it. It's up to you. This one, low motor strain preset. This is basically a preset to make you using a controller a little bit easier and less strain. So instead of you pressing the buttons harder or moving your analog stick all the way or just flicking it all the time, basically wearing it out, it puts less strain. Turning this on puts less strain on your buttons and on your analog stick as well. So it is a good thing to have. However, I just don't have it on because it just, I don't know, I just don't have it on. Bumper ping, I have that off. I swap my LB and RB with LT and RT. It's basically the same thing. I don't know why I don't know, it's the same thing. My default flip is swapping my LT, RT, LB, RB. So it's basically the same thing. Controller vibration, please turn that off. Or maybe if you're into Diddy activities, hey, you can turn this on too, my boy. Like, go ahead. Hey, go ahead. Dead zone inputs. Now this one is a little bit of a controversy. Now hear me out. If you watched my video before where I said dead zone, the higher you have it, the better your aim is gonna be because your aim assist works better with a higher dead zone. It's the same in this game. However, again, because of the movement, I will do a video more like in depth explaining why I have mine lower in this game, because in MW3 and Warzone, I played with my right stick min on 6 because the aim assist works better with a higher dead zone. However, I have it lower this time to 2. I will make a video just fully explaining this, but for now, at this very moment, I have mine the lowest I can have it without it having any stick drift. I can put it down to 0, but I just want a little bit control, so I just put it up to 2. So for right now, put yours to the lowest that your controller analog stick, right stick that is, can go to, so without getting any stick drift. So you can test this by turning this on and you just move around your analog stick just a little bit first and then just watch it. If you lower it, let me turn it back off and lower it to 0, put it on. If your right stick, like this little thing that's moving, if it's not moving When you have it on 0, then you can play 0. But if you have it lowered and you're seeing it move, you should probably turn it up until you see it like not moving. That's like the good spot you want to have it. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep doing my testing to see if having it higher even works that well in this game as well. And yeah, that's Dead Zone. On to aiming. Sensitivity multiplier, I don't use this because I'm gonna show you another setting I use. Look inversion on foot standard, I don't touch that. Now let's go into aiming advanced settings. Okay, look inversion, this is normal for me, this is default, I don't touch that either. Now listen to this one. ADS sensitivity transition timing. Now listen, what this setting is the game wants to know when should your sensitivity, your ADS sensitivity, start working. Do you want it to work instantly, so as soon as you press your ADS button? Do you want your sensitivity to start moving, or do you want it to move gradually and get to that speed, or after you've fully ADS'd? This is what this setting is for. Now me personally, after doing some testing, do not follow my complete 100% settings. This is just the explanation, so you can go ahead and try it for yourself. Instant makes it so that as soon as you aim down your sights, your ADS sensitivity comes into play. Right now, I recommend trying these out for yourself, each of them, because they're all good in their own ways. Instant, to me personally, it's alright, but I find that I have better accuracy using gradual, especially when you're sniping. Having it on gradual versus instant. After zoom is probably the one that people aren't gonna use a lot of the time because it's a little jarring moving from, if you're like, for example, you have like a low horizontal and vertical sensitivity, and then like you have a high ADS sensitivity. It is a little bit jarring moving from like one to the other. So these two are probably gonna be your best bet, but just, you know, keep switching between each of them and see which one you like best. For me, it's gradual. Third person ADS correct, yeah, I don't use that. Here is another one. Aim response curve type. Now you can use standard, you can use linear, or dynamic. Now I did do some testing on linear. I will be honest, linear is nice, especially for me because again, I'm used to COD. I know what my sensitivities are like, I know what they feel like, so I get used to this pretty easily. Like, it's fine. I would suggest trying linear out for yourself. You can play standard as well, that's okay, but if you want to move to the next level, I would try linear or dynamic. I'd say go on linear first, try it out, see how you like it. If you're playing linear, I would say probably try like a little bit lower for sensitivity. It will be a little bit more accurate when you have like a lower sensitivity. You could play high on it, of course, most definitely, but I'd say you'd get more out of linear when you have it lower than having it to higher. Dynamic, I feel like, is one that you should feel like you should have it a little bit higher. Even though having it lower as well is really good, you will be really accurate with dynamic having a lower sensitivity. Me personally, I play on 14 with dynamic, simply because of just how I'm playing in this game. I play completely different in this game than in Modern Warfare 3 and in Warzone. So I turned my sensitivity up a little bit more, and just to track everybody else a little bit easier with all the crazy movement and stuff, I just turned it up to 14 completely and just stayed there. So test out linear, test out dynamic. Standard, I feel like if you don't want to bother with this setting and do any testing, stay on standard. Standard is completely fine. The aim response curve slope scale, that's a mouthful, nigga. Damn, what the fuck? Now this is a weird one because this setting is really like, it cancels out what you're putting up here. So for example, if you're putting it on linear, now what linear does is that when you're moving your analog stick or your screen, if you're playing on 8:8, it doesn't move from 8:8. So if you move left, it's gonna be 8. If you move right, it's gonna be 8. Whereas dynamic, it moves from, let's just say 10 down to 9 and then back to 8. If you're moving left, and then when you move right, it goes 10, then to 9, then to 8. With the slope scale, it basically has to do with the effectiveness. So if you have it all the way down to the lowest, 0.0, I'm assuming. Oh my god, I just knocked my water down. 0.0, you're not gonna get the dynamic effect. So I don't mess with this too much because it's a little bit weird. I just keep it on because if I want to play dynamic, I'm gonna have this, I want to get the most effective setting for dynamic, so I'm gonna keep this at 1. So if you want to try and mess with it, I would suggest against it, but you can go ahead. So that's that. Now for the custom sensitivity per zoom, I have this on my low zoom, which is probably the most important one because I play such a high sensitivity, which I don't think 14 is that high, but hey, it is what it is. Low zoom is 0.60 because if you have a high sensitivity, that's high vertical and horizontal sensitivity, you don't want to play the default, which is 1. That's going to be too fast when you're aiming in. I mean, like, that's a little bit too much. So turn it down a little bit. I play 0.60. If you want to try that, sure, no problem. Keep in mind, the lower you have your sensitivity, that's vertical and horizontal, paired with your low zoom being low, it will be a little bit slower to track people in this game. I do recommend having it, like, if you have a lower sensitivity, like a lower vertical and horizontal, I would say to try, like, put this value a little bit higher, like maybe 0.8. Maybe you could try 1. Maybe it wouldn't be that bad if you have like a 6 cents, 8 cents, whatever. But if you have a high sensitivity like me, keep this low. It should be the opposite. So if you're high sensitivity, it should be the opposite. So if your vertical and horizontal sensitivity is high, put this a little bit lower. If your horizontal and vertical sensitivity is lower, put this a little bit higher. Do not go past 1.0. Please do not do that. And then you can adjust this basically how you like. It's preference. Target aim assist, you gotta have that on. Motion sensor behavior, I don't touch this because I don't have any, motion sensor devices, so don't touch these. If anybody tells you this affects anything, they're lying to you. Do not trust that. This is not a thing. Now on to the movement tab. I have mine on tactical sprint assist only. Here is why. I have my tactical sprint on in the older CODs, so I just transfer that here as well. So if you're looking for the setting that basically gives you tactical aim assist, oh my god, tactical aim assist, I'm crazy for that. So if you're looking for tac sprint, this is where it is. Now the sprint assist delay, put it all the way down to 0. You don't want any delay in your movement at all, especially when you're sprinting. Now I am going to be doing a little bit experimenting on this specific setting because I'm wondering if you can get the movement a little bit more smooth and just, more transitional. So I'm going to be doing another video on this, so stay tuned for that. Sprint assist sideways, I have this on. Same with backward because I do utilize sideways and backwards, movement a lot. So getting a little bit assist on it, I don't mind it. So I have these on, so you should probably try it because really, I don't know if it's like on like by default or not, but I do have these on. They're really good to use. Mantle assist, I have that off. Yeah, I have all these off. Same thing with the crouch assist. These are off. Corner slice, I think this is on by default, but I like corner slicing in this game. It's almost like a lean mechanic. As soon as what this does is basically as soon as you go close to like a doorway or like a wall and you're trying to aim past it and you're like right beside the wall, it does like a little lean like right hand peek around the corner. That's like really cool. I don't know if it has like a little bit of a like an advantage yet, but it's really cool. I turned it off before, but it's actually really cool. I turned it back on. Now under movement behaviors, so slide and dive behavior, some people use slide only or some people use hybrid. That's okay. I personally recommend tap to slide. Why? Again, with my movement, with how I like to do things, I like sliding left and right a lot. I don't really dive a lot. So I prioritize my sliding. So I use tap to slide. Now, if you want to be diving a lot, what this does is that you tap your button and it will dive for you and you hold to slide. That's okay. Again, you just have to experiment with all these settings that I'm showing you in this video. Slide only, if you only want to slide, you don't want to dive at all, put that on. Dive only, if you don't want to slide, you only want to dive with that button, put that on. Hybrid, it gives you a nice little sweet point of you tap it to slide, and if you want to dive, you hold while sprinting. Do you see what I'm saying? To dive, which is cool. Like that's cool. You can put that on a hybrid as well if you want to do that. The slide and activation delay, I have mine on a medium because here's the thing. I don't know if this is default. Is it default? I don't know if it's default. When you have it on short, basically whenever you're just trying to, like, maybe you made an accident, like maybe you want to dive and you accidentally held it, like because maybe like you're panicking or something. If this delay is short, it's gonna dive when you want to slide. That's not good. So long is gonna be too long, is gonna feel too clunky. So you want to have it on medium. Medium is cool. Auto door peek. I have this off. Maybe it's default, but I have this off. Please turn that off. You don't want to be doing that every single doorway you get to. That's not, that's not dope. That's not cool. Automatic airborne mantle, I have this on. I think I'm gonna turn it off. Yeah, I think turn that off. Why do I have that on? That's crazy. Sprint to restore, you want to have this on at all times, because instead of you pressing L3 again or your left stick to get your sprint back after doing some sort of action or after it running out, you don't need to do that. All you need to do is just have this on. It will restore your sprint for you. Slide, maintain sprint. Same with this. You don't want your sliding to feel any type of clunkiness. Keep this on. You have to have this on. This one's default. I didn't touch that. Mantle cancels reload. Have that off. Now movement and advanced settings. So sprint or tag sprint behavior. So what this does, this is cool a little bit. Now what it does is that it gives you the choice to toggle it or to hold it. So if you move your left stick up, like just press it, not press it, but if you just flick it up one time, you will tag sprint. If you want it to where you have to do it, like you have to hold it, all you have to do is just put this on hold. You hold your left stick forward, then it will tag sprint for you. So it's up to you which one is a little bit more comfortable for you. I have it on toggle, so as soon as I flick it forward, it tag sprints for me. Cool. Auto move forward, have that off. Grounded mantle, please turn this off. You don't want to be jumping over stuff like on accident, so turn that off. Tag sprint activation, this is if you don't have tag sprint, auto tag sprint on. So if you tap it one time, your left stick, it will sprint, or if you double tap it, or if you single tap to run, whichever. That's just how you want to customize it. I use auto tag sprint, so I don't need it. Plunging on the water, I have it by trigger. Sprinting door bash, I have that automatically on, in case, instead of just like pressing my square or my X to, you know, open the door, I have this on by default. Vehicle advanced settings, I don't mess with that. Combat, now this one's a little bit more universal. You can just copy this one if you'd like. ADS, obviously hold. Weapon mount activation, I have this ADS melee. ADS melee, I have that for right now. If I want to like mount more, I'll mess with that a little bit more. Now this is one this is preference as well. Dedicated melee weapon activation. So to pull out your melee, which is going to be either your bat or your combat knife, you can either hold your melee button, which for me is going to be my right stick, which is going to be the same thing for a lot of you guys. I can hold that down, or weapon cycle. Weapon cycle is basically if you want to press triangle or Y to switch your weapons. So basically from your primary to then your secondary, which is your pistol, and then if you press it again, you will get either your bat or your knife. This is what weapon cycle is. It's a little bit, I don't like that, because if I want to have just like a straight pistol gunfight and then swap to my sniper again or my AR, I'm gonna have to press it 2 times instead of 1, because I'm gonna have to scroll past my knife, which I don't like that. So if you want to do that, you can, but for right now, I have mine on hold melee. Armor plate, we don't have Warzone yet, so I have mine on apply 1, which really apply all is like the thing to use, right? C4, I don't use C4s all at once, but you can put it one by one if you'd like. Equipment behavior, I have mine on hold for right now. I have it on hold. Manual fire behavior, press combat advanced settings. Change D-pad up behavior, so you can literally, if you want to, you can put your up on D-pad as ping or cycle streak up. Now I didn't like this at first because I get a lot of streaks, so what I do is that I would have to press down to cycle through my streaks, and it felt a little bit clunky, but I got used to it. So I mean, if you want to change this to cycle streak up, so instead of pressing down all the time, you can press up or down to cycle through your streaks, you can go on and put this setting on as well. But I have it on ping because I ping a lot, so, and it's easier for me. Change zoom activation, this is default. Sprint, tag sprint, focus, I have it on that. Weapon mount exit, short delay, I don't mess with this. Interact or reload behavior, now this is one I did actually change because I had it on prioritize interact. Tap to reload because I'm playing multiplayer right now, so I'm not really interacting with much. Now if we're playing Warzone, I use prioritize interact because when you're opening, you know, crates and, you know, the buy station, so on and so forth, you know, you don't want to have to hold it all the time. You want to do it as fast as possible and get out of there. So prioritize interact, that's got to be on if you're playing Warzone next week. If you're just playing multiplayer, you can have it on tap to reload, easier. Sprint cancels reload, I have that off. I want to have full control over my reloading at all times, so I have that off. ADS stick swap, I don't mess with this, I have it on off. Yeah, I just have that off. Depleted ammo weapon switch, I have this by default as well, it's on. It's cool. So basically when you run out of ammo, it just automatically switches your gun for you. I mean, I don't get to that point a lot, so I'll manually swap without me thinking about it anyway, so it's fine. Body shield, finishing move behavior, this is just like preference. If you want to prioritize your execution, you can put it on that, or if you want to prioritize, you know, diddying people, that's what I call it, body shield diddy, I just put it on this, prioritize body shield. But that I'm cool on that. I'm not really messing with this much. Scoreboard toggle, actually I feel like hold would be kind of nice, you know, holding on it instead of just toggling it, but I have it on toggle for now. Overlay advanced settings, inventory control, directional buttons, cool, that's default, which I guess when Warzone comes out, the directional buttons will work a little bit better. Ping wheel delay moderate, double tap danger ping delay moderate, wheels behavior hold, cool, right? Now on to graphic settings. Now if you're playing on console, this tab is going to look a little bit different because you don't have all these options because you're not on PC. I play on PC, but on console you will have your fidelity cast, the sharpness, brightness. There is an option to turn on your like 120 hertz refresh rate option. If you don't have a 120 refresh rate hertz monitor, you won't be able to use that or utilize it. I do recommend getting one because it does make your game a little bit smoother, runs way better. I recommend it. So if you have that off and you actually do have a 120 hertz monitor that supports it, then I would recommend turning that on. By default, you have to. That's a must. Now if you're on PC and you're looking for graphic settings, here you go as well. So if you have a multi-monitor setup, I recommend putting it on full screen and borderless. Do not put on exclusives because you're going to be tabbing out all the time. I put mine on full screen borderless because when you alt tab out of the game, there's like a little delay, like it's like a little black screen, and then you don't want that. So we keep it on full screen borderless. And honestly, usually how it works is that full screen exclusive and a full screen borderless, there was like a input delay kind of thing going on between both of them, where you would get less input delay using exclusive versus borderless. But for some reason in this game, it's not much of a delay, if even any at all. So I'd say this is personal preference, it's up to you. I tab out of the game a lot, so I use full screen borderless. Play monitor, gotta make sure it's on your main monitor. Adapter, that's just making sure that you're on your main GPU if you have multiple. I run a 4080, so that's just what that is on. It's gonna be on that by default if you don't change it. Refresh rate, make sure if you want to utilize your refresh rate, put on exclusive. If you want to change it, like maybe if you want to play 143, 120, whatever, I don't see why you would want to. So that's why I don't really touch it. I just keep it on borderless, so it's on 240, it's locked. Aspect ratio automatic, you don't touch this. Display gamma, I have mine on 2.2. 2.4 I feel like is like for TV. Yep, there it is right there. Yeah, it's for TVs, so I don't touch that. Gamma brightness, I do have mine turned up because of my monitor settings, so just tweak these based on your monitor settings, based on your, you know, how you want yours to look. Now NVIDIA reflex low latency. Now me personally, I used to play on plus boost. Now when you have it on, you get a little bit more FPS. However, you do have a little bit more latency versus having an on plus boost. You get a little bit less FPS, but you do get more latency, meaning your game is more responsive. So a lot of you guys would want to have this on plus boost, but I have a GPU where I can afford to do this. Plus I like more FPS, and I do like my graphics a little bit higher. So because of that, I run on. I don't run on plus boost. Sometimes I'll go in between, but right now I have it on eco mode preset. I have it custom, and the reason why is because I want to manually like control what I want my eco mode on. So boom, VSync off always, both in gameplay and menus. Both you're gonna want to have that off all the time. I have my FPS on unlimited to get as much FPS as I possibly can. Reduce menu render resolution native all the time. You want to have this on all the time. To native, you don't want to have it on anything else but native. Pause game rendering off. This helps your PC basically, because if you're having all the rendering going on, you know, in the background, like I don't think it's good, but you know, it's fine to have it on or off. It's up to you. But I have mine off. Reduce quality when inactive. I have this off because, you know, there's just too much going on. What you don't want when you're like not playing the game, it reduces the quality. Like that's just like why would you have that on? Like just keep it off. It's okay. It's fine. Your PC is not gonna blow up. It's okay. Focus mode, have it on 0. I don't run HDR. It does add a little bit more latency to your game. It's not gonna be, you know, smooth. Like do not put HDR on. Now quality. Funny thing, whenever I'm recording videos, I turn my graphic preset to extreme. However, when I play with everything on low, basically. So I use custom. I have my fidelity cast on, and I have it on to 100% to have, you know, make sure the game is bright and sharp. So that's why I use fidelity cast. Let me just apply this. And to be fair, the game does not look bad with all settings low. Now, if you do have a 40 series card, you will see this option, DLSS frame generation. It gives you a good amount of frames. Yes, 100%. Don't use it though. Don't use it. It gives you a crap ton of latency. You do not need to have this on. I'm telling you, it hurts you more than helps you. So I would suggest having this off. VRAM scale target. If you have the GPU or the VRAM to run this at 90, I would recommend it. However, if you're getting like hitches and stuff, I'd say to like turn it down, maybe like 70 or 80. But I have a 4080, which is, you know, capable. So I have this up to 90 all the way. Now, if you have a 40 series card, you will see this. I don't know if it's only available for 40 series cards, but VRS, variable rate shading. This is really good. It does give you a little bit more performance. It gives you a little bit more FPS. But keep in mind, in order to turn this on, you gotta have hardware, GPU. I'll have it on the screen right now, the setting that you would need to turn on to have this on basically, but I don't remember what it's called right now. I'll put it up on the screen and you will see what it's called. Make sure you turn that on and then restart your game or restart your PC, and then you should be able to use VRS. Now on to my personal setting. Quality, I have everything down to low except for texture, filter, and anisotropic. I don't want it to look that bad, so I keep it on high. Depth of field always off. Detail quality off, low, very low, off. Shader quality high, because again, I don't want the game to look that bad. So certain things I might have on medium or high, just out of nowhere. On demand texture streaming, always have this on minimal. Put this to the lowest. I think it might be 32. That's like default. I don't remember how much. Yeah, I think it might be 32 or something, but put it all the way down to 16. Put the download limits to on, because it's gonna limit your packet burst, because this game has a really bad issue with packet burst, and this I feel like helps with it, because usually before you could just turn this off completely, but now they force it, so now you have to actually manually, you know, limit it itself. So I have -16 on 1.0. Local texture streaming quality, have that low. I think you could put this off as well in MW3, but now you just have to put on low. Shadow quality low, very low. Off, low, off. Volumetric quality, I feel like it might be a little cool to have, you know, on high. Actually, I'm gonna put it on high, because you don't want, like, for example, like, you know, bottles and stuff to just look kind of crazy. So it's fine to have it on or on high. Quality, physics quality off. Weather, grid volumes, have to ultra, why not? Water quality, I have this on off, because you want to be able to see in the water properly. You want to be able to see, like, in the water if somebody's in there. This is the best setting to have it on. None of this. If you want the game to look good or the water to look good, hey, by all means, bro, go ahead and do it. Now, view, motion reduction preset, you don't need to have this on at off, because you can literally customize all this by yourself manually. So field of view, I play 110 on this game. Now, if you know, the higher you have this, the less aim assist you get. So I feel like a nice little, you know, in between, a nice little sweet spot is going to be 110. I'm going to be doing a video on this as well. I play affected, because when you have affected on, it doesn't zoom all the way in. When you're playing independent, it zooms so close in, like I don't like it. So plus, when you play on affected, it doesn't zoom in that close, as well as it helps with visual recoil. So that's why I have it on affected. I play on wide. I think default is going to be, you know, default, but I play on wide. These are default. World motion blur, I have this off. Weapon motion blur, I have this off as well. I used to play on, but I have it off. first person camera as well as the third person camera movement. Have these on 50%, the lowest you can have them on, because you don't want when score streaks come in the map and your screen is like shaking like a milkshake. You don't want that. Have it on 50%. ADS transition for third person, I just have this third person ADS, I think default. Inverted flashbang, I have this on. I can't bother when I'm playing the game late at night and I get flashed and I'm getting blinded. Literally, I'm good. Like I know I'm playing a game, but I'm good. I don't want to actually be blinded, bro. I'm good. Now, if you want to see what kind of performance your PC is gonna be running, you can run the benchmark tool. You can go ahead and do that as well. Now for audio, I'm not gonna be doing audio. I'm not gonna be covering audio in this video simply because the enhanced headphone mode that they just added into the game, it works. However, there is like a little asterisk on that, so I do want to go in depth into this one, but I'm gonna do so in another video. So for right now, mess around with it however you want. Interface, I do want to say at least just one thing about interface. Everything else, it's up to you. You can change whatever you want to change, but just one thing you must have on is when you go down to Crosshair after going over to gameplay HUD, Crosshair, put it on static, because you don't want your Crosshair moving all over the place. You don't want that. So we have it on static, and then we go on to show more. Crosshair dot is on. The center dot scale, I put that on larger because you want the dot to be big so you can see where you're centering, accurately. Crosshair spread, I have that on. Opacity, I have that on 100 because you don't want to literally turn it down to where you can't see it. Like, come on now, bro. Like, look at that. Like, what's the sense of having it on at that point? So leave it on 100. The color, you can customize the color to whatever you want to put to green, if you want to put it to blue, whatever you want to do. But for right now, I have mine on white. That's just what I see best with, and I'm used to it. So I just keep white on. That's just as simple as that. Now, after applying all those settings and you're used to them, if you need a class setup that's going to literally give you nukes and drop you 100 bombs and everything, then go ahead and click this video, because I found the best SMG in the game. It has a class setup, it has a gameplay of me dropping a word. So you need to go check it out.